Right, so Sharky needs a little bit more color. This, again, can be done with a dolphin or some other sort of whale. You can play around with the colors, but you need to know how to do these techniques. If you're doing like an orca, you're going to be working with black for your first color. And obviously, some of your shapes are going to be different, but I still need to know that you understand how to unite them, the united shapes of America. That said, the reason I united these, per se, is because I'm going to start making copies. So once I get up in there, actually, you know what? No, we're going to do the tail first. I'm going to come in with a circle. This is another really cool function of the Pathfinder palette. This is the same shade as my other one. And I'm actually going to make 2 circles. You might remember this from your little cartoon guy. And I'm going to have them kind of overlap until I get a crescent shape that I like. I'm going to select them both. Click on them both, and I'm going to hit something called minus front. That means the one that's on top of it is going to get minused out, plus anything that intersects with it. So watch what happens. Now I've got a nice fin. And I'm going to drag that along. Click on both of these. And unite it. And a pretty nice shark body. Yeah! And now I'm going to start making my copies. So Command C, Command F, Command C, Command F. I did that twice for a reason. You'll see why soon. That said, I'm going to change my color to this light, cool grayish color. This is going to be for the belly. Nope, wrong click. So that covered my entire shark. I wanted it to do that. Don't panic. And I'm going to start to do some subtractive shading while I have the entire thing selected. I'm going to come in with my eraser, start outside the shape, and just kind of and slice it into bits. Once I deselect it, if you hit delete now, my friends, you're going to delete everything. You don't want that. We're going to go ahead. I want one more slice. Just like pizza, I want one more slice. I'm going to go ahead, deselect, and start to get rid of some of these other bits I don't need. And in my opinion, I need to smooth that out a little bit more. So I'm going to come back to my eraser. I'm going to make it larger using my right bracket key. And I'm going to come in and shave a little bit of that off, just so I have a smoother end to the belly of my shark. There we go. I'm into it. And I'm going to click off. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to come to this next copy of my shark. And I'm going to show where the light is hitting it. So I'm actually going to create a highlight by doing that. Guess what time it is? It's time to subtractively shade again. And if you want, you can kind of have that hitting the top of the fin too. It might be a different part. And I'm going to come in and just like that with the sound effect and everything. And now I'm going to get rid of the parts I don't need, such as this. Bye. Notice I've got a little bit of choppiness that I'm going to go back and fix. This is what I was talking about, being careful with the eraser and making sure you're not leaving that imprint of a circle on stuff or too many anchor points. I probably should do that for the white belly too. Adobe Illustrator gives us the ability to be nice and neat, even if we hate being nice and neat. So I've got kind of a nice top bit. I still am not into that fin bit. We're going to delete that. You can decide if you want a fin bit. Go for it if you feel it. Another cool trick to, again, give this the idea that this shark has 3D form. It's large. It's not flat. It has weight to it. I'm going to create one more shine. It looks a little bit like this, but I want it to really match this. And as you guys can see, I'm not perfectly great at that with the eraser. I'm going to click on my shape. I'm going to go to Object. I'm going to go to Path, and then I'm going to do something called Offset Path. What this does is it makes a copy of your shape, or the stroke of your shape rather, and you can choose whether it's inside or outside. Negative is inside your shape, as you can see. If I delete that negative sign, it pops outside of my shape. You want to make sure you always have preview checked. Now it's on the outside. We want it on the inside. And you're going to have to mess around until you get a value you like. I think I'm going to do 0.15 just to see, maybe a little bit more. Let's do 0.3. You might have to check on and off your preview to get it to bounce back. So I've got this shape. We're going to make it lighter, like so. And notice they're not the same. Not yet, anyway. I've got this little bit I don't really need. Goodbye. And I'm going to edit the anchor points and shrink it and do a couple things to it just until I get what I want. Now, this is a good call for the remove anchor point tool. I've got a lot of anchor points going on here that I don't necessarily need. Depending on your version of Illustrator, it might be somewhere else. If it's grayed out, it's already in your toolbox somewhere. For me, it's underneath my pen tool. But you can also just hit the minus key. And I'm going to start coming in and deleting some of these suckers that I don't need. And it'll yell at you if you try to delete something that's not there. Fun fact. You don't want to delete too many because you still need to be able to pull your shape. But I actually don't need those. So that is quickly and quietly how you get rid of anchor points that you don't need. And now I can come in and maybe kind of like push this up. This is coming out a little too much. This is another case. If you're getting like really pointy little bits, you might want to delete some of the anchor points. The reason it's not letting me do this is apparently I'm trying to click on the handles. There we go. That's a little bit better. That's entirely too pointy, but we're going to fix it. Coming in. Nope, that was a different anchor point. I'm sure you guys enjoy my live broadcasts of my struggle. This is where you need to zoom in. Now I can see it. So coming in. Oh, now it's gone. That's nice. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. So that must be a handle, not an anchor point. There we go. So kind of a shape like this. I'm going to push it up a little bit more. Play with the handles. Just some kind of highlight. You might want it a little more smooth than the monstrosity I've just created. But we'll get there. And it doesn't have to be, you don't want it to look too chunky or too similar. Kind of like a natural light playing on it. I'm going to get rid of this part because I don't want it. It's coming down too far. Use your best judgment. You know what is best for your critter. And this is looking a little too robotic or angular for me, so I'm just coming in and making it a little more curved. Took too much off the top. Cool. So that's a couple quick ways you can add some shading and depth to your animal. I'm going to make another fin real quick, and then we are going to move along.